Zero hunger, good health and well-being, quality education, gender equality, clean water and sanitation, affordable and clean energy, decent work and economic growth, industry innovation, reduced inequalities, sustainable cities and economies, responsible consumption and production, climatic change, life below water, life on land, peace, justice, and strong institutions. Partnership for these goals. Countries across the globe are today aligning to these 17 Sustainable Development Goals led by the United Nations in 2016. Clean water, clean air to breathe, quality education, affordable healthcare are the demands of the common man. To address this, today we have four eminent speakers who excel in their own fields. To start with, I would like to invite Mr. Anshul Mishra IAS, Member Secretary, CMDA, Government of Tamil Nadu. Next, I would like to invite a dear friend who's come down from the city of Hague, the city of peace and justice of the United Nations. Dr. Rajiv Jagasia, former license, government relations, Hague, the city of peace and justice. I would like to invite Dr. Susan Verghese, again a dear friend, and Vice President, Hindustan Institutions, to come on stage. And our last panelist, Mr. Anderson Prabhu, Managing Partner, IDFC First Bank. Thank you so much, gentlemen and the lady, to be a part of this elite panel. Sustainable city is one that is designed to address social, environmental, economic impact through urban planning and transformation. The goal 11 of the Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations is to make cities and human settlements more inclusive, safe, resilient, and sustainable. According to a World Bank report, cities require good governance, integrated urban planning, and financial management to deliver three critical outcomes: a robust economic growth, conservation of natural resources, mitigating greenhouse gas emissions, and fostering inclusiveness and livability by reducing poverty. So let me begin with you, Anshul sir. What does it mean to have a sustainable city?
Thank you. So we all know the dictionary meaning of sustainability, right? So basically, we all know that anything which has to be sustainable has to be in such a way that we ensure that it is available for the future generations, right? Now, that means that the resources which you have, which are available to you, that needs to be utilized in such a way that while you take for yourself, enough is left for the future generations. The way cities are being managed across the world, particularly in countries of South, sustainability is a challenge because the resources which are available in the city, for example, space or water or anything else which is available in the city, the way we have managed, particularly the countries in South, we have not actually bothered about the sustainability of these resources. So space in cities gets utilized day by day, and we find less space for various things such as the transport facilities. We find less space for more affordable housing. We find less space for parks and for other public spaces. So the point here is that we have to develop and manage our cities in a sustainable way so that it gives space to everyone, it accommodates everyone. At the same time, it does not impact the overall uh, availability of resources in a negative way. What has happened in the cities in our country, if you look at Chennai, we have allowed something called urban sprawl. So cities have grown in a very medium, low kind of density horizontally towards the outside. And it creates major issues. For example, people don't get houses inside the city, they get cheaper or affordable houses outside the city. But people have to move to inside the city for the work, right, for job. So every day they have to come in. Now, if you don't have affordable, robust public transportation, people will use their private vehicles, cars, two-wheelers, or anything else. And that leads to the major problem in today's cities that is called congestion. So because of that, we see the huge problems. People take more time to reach from one place to other. People have to spend more transportation costs will be there. And because you use more private vehicles, you have pollution, you have air pollution, you have congestion, and overall productivity of the city's economic life goes down. So that is a challenge. I just want to stop here. If you want to have a sustainable city, you have to utilize the resources available in the city in such a way that while you accommodate everyone, at the same time you don't destroy, don't damage the resources available, and you keep enough for future.
Right. I mean, I think you answered one question which I was going to get to next, is the rapid urbanization, because of which this entire issue of the glut that's happening within the city is coming up. But sir, is there a solution to this? Because, or is it directly or inversely proportional to population? So when you have a population growth and your affordability of buying homes within the city goes up, obviously the populace is going to expand widthwise and vertically and horizontally, which is inevitable. So isn't it eminent for the government to put in policies to bring in public transportation more efficiently? Yes, today in Chennai, we are right there. Chennai Metro Rail Corporation is doing a phenomenal job while compared to other metro rails across the country. We are far ahead. Bangalore as a city started late, we are far ahead. But still, this becomes an inherent factor for the inclusive growth of the city.
As to quickly, one thing before I say anything, one thing we must understand, population in the cities or increasing population in the cities is not a problem. In fact, more populated cities they would do better in terms of productivity and growth and create more value, more wealth for everybody to be shared. People will migrate to cities because cities offer not only a good quality of life, but basically they offer good opportunities of jobs, better opportunities of jobs, which are not available in the rural areas. The agriculture or any primary sector, most of these economic sectors become stagnant after a point, and they cannot produce as much as the secondary and tertiary sectors produce. And most of the secondary and tertiary sectors happen to be in the urban areas. That's why they call it urban agglomeration. And that is the kind of economics behind the cities which attracts populations. Now, that is one. Secondly, the population which is already there, they also grow. So cities will grow and populations will be attracted more. This is given, urbanization is given, it cannot be reversed. How to manage that is a problem. How to manage that is the question before us. Most of the cities, Barcelona was mentioned here, and I'm very happy. Barcelona is definitely one of the best cities in the world. How they have managed, not a great rocket science, we can just look at how other cities have managed, and we need to put our act together and ensure that the same way we can manage our cities. The problem is, there are two things. One, most of the cities of South, we are late starters because urbanization started late. We started realizing our problems late. And I don't know, maybe 3 decades maximum, we have been talking about urbanization. Before that, we were not even talking. And we have been, most of you would have heard the phrase that India lives in villages. right? But I would say India is moving towards cities. Let us realize that point, and it does not deny that villages are very important for the function they do. Of course, we are all dependent on food from villages, and farmers are an important part of the entire economic and social life of the country, and they will keep doing that. But many people will move on to urban areas because they don't have enough jobs in the rural areas. Very, very simple concept of economy. So we have to manage them. Once they come here, now they come in various sections, right? You must have heard about blue-collar jobs. You must have heard about white-collar jobs. People, those who study, say, IT, they will migrate to a city to work in a company, software company, or whatever. They would be called white-collar people, right? And they would look for a house which is affordable for them. Probably maybe a guy who has got a job in 60,000 or 50,000, 60,000 rupees per month, he will look for a job which he can rent out at 20,000, 15 to 20,000, something like that. So we have to create housing, enough housing for all these people. Similarly, those who directly come from the rural areas, semi-skilled or low-skilled job, the people who are having this, low skills, they will get into those kind of jobs and their incomes will be less. So what happens if you don't provide them housing? They will end up in the slums. They are mostly your drivers, your maids, your construction workers. All these people come to the city to earn a livelihood. Not only they earn their livelihood, but they also contribute to this economy of the city. Of course, they may build apartments, right? We all go and live in the apartments. It is made by those people. If they're not there, you don't get the apartments. We need to think about their housing also. Government steps in saying that we will provide affordable housing and housing for poor. I'm sorry, I'm taking a little more time.
No, please,
I'll
please,
finish
please.
it fast.
Love to hear
But
from
the private sector also requires to chip in. Maybe government can provide some kind of incentives to ensure that private sector also participates and make affordable housing of 65 square meter or less, so that the blue-collar people or the poor people also can afford a house inside the city. Now, very important, see, this is very important. Where the housing has to be located has a very important function to play in the entire city's dynamics. If you give a housing, say, 30 kilometers away to a driver, it is very difficult for him to come inside and work here. Or any other thing like, maid, for example, or those guys who are working as labor in various trading sectors, etc. Those people have to come in. If you don't give them housing every day, they have to travel, and they lose time, and they lose a big chunk of their overall income on the transportation cost. So these are the challenges which we face. We are suggesting many solutions to that, and one such solution is that we should densify the core city. And I'm sure Barcelona would have done it, and most of the cities in the world have done it. Densify. For example, in Anna Saleh, the density, the overall FSI consumption is around 2 or less. We give 3.25 FSI, base FSI, as free FSI as of now. But because the dynamics is such, land prices are very high, we are not able to give housing in Anna Saleh, which is a core city area, to the people who can afford it. So that is the challenge. This needs to be changed. This needs to be tweaked by policy, by giving differential FSI and ensuring that builders provide affordable housing to the people, everyone. That's where we talk about sustainability in the city. Unless you make it inclusive, unless you make it accessible to everyone, it cannot be sustainable. Thank you.
Right. So good, good that you did mention about, we are no longer here talking about roti kapda makan, like a couple of decades ago that we used to do. We never even could imagine India looking up to even trying to be anywhere close to the 17 Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations, leave alone anything else. So it's a blessing that we are sitting here today discussing at least one of those goals here. Sir, just one thing that I wanted to, before I move on to Rajiv, coming to the FSI, since you did mention, and today I think about 3.5 FSI is what you're giving in the CBD area. While compared to a city like Mumbai or Delhi, which goes much higher, anything that restricts Chennai to give a higher FSI? Because that, as you rightly said, that's the only way we could make it inclusive, make it more affordable, at least to the niche.
Correct. So, unfortunately, we don't have a CBD area concept. We have not done zoning so far. The second master plan, it was not done. So, we give 3.25, which is on the higher side compared to many other cities in the country. Except I think Hyderabad has gone unlimited FSI, they call it. Their average FSI consumption is around 7. Mumbai had done zoning. Ahmedabad and some other cities, I think Bangalore, they have also used the FSI to great effect. We have given FSI, in 2019, we increased FSI to 3.25 plus the premium FSI, 50% of that, across the city, which was a mistake. So what happens when you give FSI across the state, the land value comes into play. And wherever they get land at a cheaper rate, they will construct houses. So the house construction or the office space construction happening across the city, it does not solve the problem, it increases the problem because people have to travel, right?
Financial viability was not...
Viability is done. People have to travel, that's another challenge. Because people, so why people come to the city, they come for two things. Not for good quality of life, I think people have been telling this, they come for the job, right? First thing. If they come for the job, they need a house. And they need a transport system to travel from house to the job. This is what cities are made up of, basically. Now, FSI can be used as a tool to densify areas which are on the transit corridors. That is known as transit-oriented development, TOD corridors. The benefit for that is, it's a kind of win-win situation for everyone. It's a multiple benefits of TOD. You provide more office space, more housing on the transit corridor. People can easily walk to the transit station, the station, metro station, or whatever it is, and travel to their office space, whatever office location in the metro easily. It takes less time. They don't use private cars. They don't use private vehicles to reach to station. That has to be, that will trigger this kind of development. And also ensure that not only office space, you have enough housing near the station so that they have to just walk to the station. That is an important thing. At the same time, we also promote mixed-use development along the transit corridors. And that means you have, if you want to go to a mall, you can just walk into the mall, right? You can go to any commercial space. You can go to office spaces also. You can walk to work. These kind of concepts are now coming up, but that will happen only when give higher FSI in the corridors. So we are proposing some numbers which I cannot disclose here because it is under examination by the government, but definitely it will be higher than what is given right now.
Sure.
So the FSI can be used a very potent tool for sustainable urbanization.
Sir, I am certainly going to steal some information from you later on the third master plan of Chennai, which I'll not let you go without some news on that. Right. So, moving on to Rajiv. So, Rajiv, you have been a career diplomat. You have been a corporate diplomat. And you have lived in the city of Hague. You have, assisted several bilateral trade transactions between India and various other destinations. So, and you most importantly live in a city of Hague, which is, I think, one of the cities that fulfill all the 17 SDGs of the United Nations. And what a bliss it should be living there for more than 15 years. So, what do you take of, the top priority goals that India should inculcate from an Indian context?
Thank you, Dr. Ajmal, for this question. Yes, according to me, I think the goal should be for a city, both it needs to be peaceful and resilient at the same time. It needs to be inclusive and sustainable. So these are the goals of the United Nations on the 11th goal. But for it to be more resilient and peaceful, it needs to be safer. So I think safety is very important. And once the safety is taken into consideration, a lot of things will fall in place.
So when you say safety, again, I think Professor Ranganathan did also mention, poverty is the mother of all crime. I really like that word because that's where is the starting point. So poverty leads to crimes, and crimes are the reason for no safety in a particular city. What's your take?
Yes, so as Honorary Excellency Professor Ranganathan did say that, you know, poverty is the mother for all crimes. So as a city grows, you know, everything grows. The population grows, the pollution grows, similarly the economic grows, the liability also grows, creates a lot of poverty. So that's something that needs to be worked on, in my opinion. And if that is taken well care, I think the city will fall more towards sustainable processes.
So, Rajiv, what do you think are the key challenges that today India as a country is facing vis-a-vis the globe from a Union SDP perspective?
So, first, the most important thing that the entire world is facing is the population. We are 8 billion people in the world. I think we are 1.5 billion in India. Chennai should be about 6.5 million, if I'm wrong. If I'm right, I don't know. So the most important thing is the rise of the population. And as you see, the officer said some time back that, you know, we need to plan the cities. Now, if you see Chennai as a city, it was not planned for a very large population when the city was planned.
Most cities, for that matter, in India. Yeah.
Most. So today, it is very much important that, you know, how do we remake policies, and how do we make, like, for example, investors to invest, or the banking system to invest onto green investments that can, you know, help the policies of the governments that they make, you know, that can help these policies to get into more sustainable development goals.
Right, right. So, another key SDP of the UN is quality education. And who better than Susan would throw some light on the education parameter. Susan, I have a very specific issue that you know, the UN raises, and UN has discussed this in several forums. I'll just read out this small note from this report. So the UN report highlights 84 million children will be out of schools by 2030, which is alarming. And 300 million children will be lacking basic numeric skills by 2030. Middle-income countries face a $100 billion annual financing gap, which means typically in the low-income group and the mid-income group, affordability of quality education is becoming a problem. Is it that difficult? I mean, we're not talking about the Harvards and the Cornells of the world. We're just talking about quality, basic quality education from an Indian context once again. I'm mentioning Indian context in all our discussions because that's more the perspective that we're looking at today. So is it that difficult that we're talking about $100 million funding, which is a gap? Is it that difficult? And what is your take on this?
Yeah, good afternoon. And thank you, Dr. Ajmal, for the question. Goal 4 is about quality education and providing every child with an inclusive and equitable, high-quality education. And like you mentioned, all these 4 parameters are very, very alarming that by 2030, we're looking at so many students not being able to reach their education goals. Of course, education being the key paradigm by which we are able to achieve everything else which is going to be following in every possible sector. Because if we're looking at farming techniques, understanding nutrition, I myself being a doctor, understanding health issues, and also about mortality rates, reproductive health, in every sort of sector we are looking at, we would be needing education to be most given a lot of priority, especially in the policy making, in how investments are made. And a very key factor would be having local, state and government policies being given a lot of thrust in the education department itself. Because when we are looking at not providing basic education till the tertiary or vocational education, unless the students know how to progress forward, and every individual is given enough access about skills on sustainable development, say you want it on renewable energy sources, or how a circular economy is to be maintained, or whether it be how to develop production patterns. All of this is how the education is evolving. And unless a lot of priority is given at all levels, not just at the private level, but of course in the government level, a lot of thrust is given. We are looking at a lot of students falling back, and 84 million students not getting secondary school education, 300 million not being able to achieve basic literacy. All these are very, very big numbers that we're looking at. So big thrust needs to be given on all levels, be it government level or private education. And every person who is involved, every stakeholder should be brought to the table to see how best we can work towards policies, because we have one planet and we all need to put our hands together to develop it.
Absolutely, absolutely. So just to add on, since you did mention that all stakeholders need to come in, I'm with you on this, and I think the state government, I mean, from a Tamil Nadu perspective, the state government is doing its bit in subsidizing through the government schools and subsidizing whatever plans, whatever initiatives they are taking. But do we still feel, my question again, coming back to the same point of, students losing basic numeric skills by 2030 is an alarming number. So do you still think that, cost of education from private players, I mean, you represent a private university, a deemed university, so even if you're talking basic school education, I'm not getting to the university level, do you think the cost of education is something that needs to be put in check and balance by private players? I know it's a little sensitive question to ask, but we have to discuss this, because private players contribute to a larger share of the society where the children go, and they prefer or choose to do that rather than government schools. The Honorable Mayor is here. I'm sure she will acknowledge what I'm saying. And the same applies to healthcare as well. The day all of us, the bureaucracy, the politicians, start taking access of quality healthcare from hospitals, government hospitals, is when this transformation will change, which I strongly believe. It may be a strong statement, but I think I should make it. What better a forum than this for me to make mention of this? So coming back, Susan, what is your take on, bringing down the cost of quality education by private players?
So you yourself are mentioning a statement which should be, not really the way it should be in a country like ours, which is still a growing and developing country, where the majority of students should be going to government schools, and majority of patients should be going to government hospitals. But because they are not able to get the adequate facility, they're coming here. The Niti Aayog is the one which is monitoring the SDG goals and putting the policy framework. And in our country, which is ranked now 57, out of all the states, Kerala has developed and they are at 80. The ranking was 80, and Tamil Nadu was second, was ranking about 69. And then after that comes Andhra, Karnataka. So the south states are reasonably doing very well compared to the northern states also. So when we're looking at these parameters on which these rankings are done, we see that a lot more of infrastructure has been built up here, and we are able to have a sustainable industrialization. Everything is better when education is better provided in the south itself. Of course, we ourselves at the Hindustan University, we are working towards better sustainability through our tie-up. Maybe I've mentioned to you also, we have
I was just going to get to your tie-up with the European Union that you have right now through the Hindustan University. Yes. It's a bilateral tie that you have?
Yes, so we have tied up with it's a branch of the European Union, which is called the IURC, which is the International Urban and Regional Cooperation Convention. So we have tie-ups between sister cities. And right now we have a tie-up between the district of Chengalpet and Trier, the city of Trier in Germany, and mainly to work towards clean energy and waste management. And I should say that the district collector collector, Mr. Rahul Nath, has been extremely helpful and needs a real amount of praise for the amount of work that has been done, because through our Hindustan University, we are working towards establishing that. And of course, they have through Kochi has with a city in Italy for flooding of cities. And like that, there are quite a few tie-ups that they have across the world. But we are looking at how we can take best practices which are established in different places and implement it even in our own city over here. And also, like you said, maybe government schools and colleges should be supplying and catering to the majority, but it is because they are not adequately maybe staffed or having the adequate amount of infrastructure that majority do come. And we do try to keep our fees, but as you know, many of us are self-financing and have to, of course,
Fully agree.
maintain our own resources. So that does come in. I want to mention at this time that we do have a community college where we give skill training, vocational courses. So from 2010, we've been running it, and we have about 500 students passing out, where we give skills, especially in what they need: carpentry, in plumbing, in electrical data entry, software, health assistant, nursing courses, and beautician courses.
Lovely.
So we find that a lot of youngsters come in for these courses, and we keep those fees very, very nominal. And we do tie up with the PMKVY, which is the Prime Minister Kaushal Vikas Yojana, and also with the Skill Development Council and skill loan schemes. So we do try to do what best we can. Of course, for my own Hindustan Community College, which I run, I've been trying to get the PMKVY scheme
Lovely.
to really fund a bit of that, so that we can really subsidize the costing for the students.
Wonderful, wonderful. So before I touch upon the other aspect of CSR, which I wanted to have a word with you, I must mention that, today if you look at, again, addressing the point of government hospitals and government schools, I happened to recently visit the newly opened government hospital in Saidapet. Susan, you'll be amazed to see the world-class facility that it imbibes. I was amazed to see what quality of construction and what quality of equipment they have been using. They've got the best, they've got the Siemens, they've got the German, they've got everything there. And the finest of professors are on board this hospital. And if you look at the Keelpok Medical College, it's completely getting renovated. I think there is a lot of transformation that we are seeing from the government. So I mean, what I was trying to say is it's easy for the layman, so-called taxpayer, if at all, whatever percentage of the taxpayer is, to keep blaming the government and saying, where is my 1 rupee coming back to me? My 1 rupee tax, how is it coming back to me, and what proportion? Before, sir, I think I'll come back to Anshul, sir, before I come to the CSR question. I think we are talking so much about education, inclusiveness, clean energy, sustainability, and so on and so forth. But I have a fundamental problem. As a see, taxpayers crib. They keep talking about, where's my tax money going, and how efficient is the government putting it into spend. I think the basic issue of responsible citizen, being a responsible citizen, is dying out in many citizens in India, per se. I'll give you a simple example. You hail from Uttar Pradesh. You have done a thesis in Uttar Pradesh, a city that consumes the highest amounts of pan and gutka, and people just spit all over the place. And the same we see in across the country. Even in Chennai, this is an issue. What does it take to stringently enforce policy to say this is criminal in nature? Or, okay, it's punishable by law. Why aren't we learning from a small nation like Singapore?
Okay. It's a difficult question, but let me try and answer it. Changing or controlling human behavior itself is it's a difficult task, not easy. When we compare with Western countries, we see that the citizens are more law-abiding in Western countries than they are here. Enforcement is definitely one factor which makes the difference. But second factor is how we are raising our children in the society. What kind of education we are giving them, what kind of duties we are asking them to follow, whether they internalize it or not is an issue. So what we are teaching in the schools today, my daughter is in 9th standard, I see her studying only subjects, only maths, science, and other subjects. Social science is also there, but nothing about society. Nothing about society, how society operates. So that is a big challenge. And also, I remember we used to have some classes of moral science, which is also not there anymore. I don't know what has happened. People are focusing so much on English and maths and science that they have forgotten to teach the other things. So socialization is a big issue in our country. How to teach the children in the school as well as in society. In society, in apartments and in other places, how many children go to play outside? I don't know, we can count on fingers. Everybody is glued to their this thing. So that is a larger challenge. I don't have right answers to that, but I think we need to train our children in such a way that they start internalizing these things as their duty, not to spit, not to litter, not to commit any mistake which affects others. That is one challenge which is there. Coming to enforcement, definitely enforcement is weak, and because the government, because of the lack of accountability. First of all, accountability comes second. First of all, the standards of, there is no standardization in, controlling the public behavior in the public spaces. Let us take the example of traffic. How many of us, we drive car on the Indian roads? Many of us have got the licenses without actually passing the requisite exam, isn't it? I'm sure many would be sitting here also. Because the system is such, you have to approach somebody who can get you a license by bribing or something. Unfortunately, that situation still exists to some extent. And even if you go for a drive test, I have seen, we are supposed to, as monitoring officer in the district, we are supposed to visit the RTO offices also. When you go to see how they are teaching, how they are taking the test of the driver, they have only two tests. One, you should be able to maneuver your four-wheeler or two-wheeler in an 8-shape kind of road. That is the only one. Second thing is that you should be able to reverse. Now, if you go to US, I did not take a formal lesson in US. I drove car in US. The kind of detailing and kind of things you have to do before you reverse a car or before you change a lane, that kind of detailing we have never done. So that is a challenge which we face. So standardization is very important, which we have missed all across. And then teaching the children that this is the important thing. For example, we are trying to put up we have actually we have prepared a comics about the importance of checking the details before you buy a plot, or why you should take planning permission before constructing a building. We have prepared two comics, probably it will be in the schools very soon. So these kind of things. So traffic rules, changing a lane, honking, driving, speeding the car. All these basic things we have not standardized, we have not brought in our curriculum in the schools or even in our house curriculum, and we don't teach these things to children. That's why the problem is. So second thing is about accountability. If a traffic police is given an accountability of, fining, there are two ways to look at it. The guy will, first of all, the traffic police may not even bother you are speeding or you are violating some traffic rule. Second thing, if it is caught, 99% of the people would try to either bribe or call somebody and not even pay even 500 rupees. So that is both ways. So please understand, this is about the psychology of the society. We are a very low trust society, and we are not working on that properly.
So low trust, I think that's a very, very good terminology. And what I would want to share here is, despite having signals in the country like India, we need to have policemen to check us, which itself is a trust factor. Because the system doesn't believe that, signals are sufficient for you to. So there is a fundamental behavioral problem that we need to address.
1 second on that. I think there's something called nudge. We can use nudges effectively to control behavior. That is possible, and traffic thing is most important one which you can try on that. They have started trying that. In Anna Nagar, for example, if you cross the line, the stop line, they would fine you, and this fine comes to your
Right.
this thing. So people have started changing their behavior a little bit. So nudge is an example, it's an important thing which can be used to change the behavior.
So basically, behave or fall in line is what we're saying. I think that's the only language people understand. That's precisely where I was coming to, that there's no other shortcut to it. And I think when we speak about behavior and imbibing culture, you either have this as an ethos within you and you grow, or else the government thrusts on you. There's no choice. Unfortunately, that's the way to go about. Otherwise, people continue to do what they want to do. So I think there is no check and balance otherwise. Yeah, thank you. Coming back, Susan, just a cue again from the contribution of individuals and being responsible citizens need not only vest with individuals but also corporates and institutions and private players like you. So you run a deemed university today. So, and I know that you have a very large CSR activity happening. You have adopted a complete village near Kelambakam, and making this village sustainable has been your goal for more than 15 years now. So that's a wonderful job that you've been doing. So if you can throw some light on how you've been able to do this and what exactly do you do in this village?
Yeah, so right from the time when the founder of the Hindustan Group, my father had bought the place in Padur, which was 25 kilometers out on the OMR, was at that time a very far distance. And it was a place full of fishermen, fishermen community on the OMR. So at that time, it was just a single lane road which led up to our college. And at that time, 100-acre campus at that time was a mandatory for starting an engineering college. So it was our duty to of course, build up the society and community around us. And of course, the local schools we had to adopt, and giving computers at that time when computers were just coming into the market, and the computer education, and bringing in all these people who are children of fisher folk and bringing them into the local schools, giving them tuitions, and of course adopting the local areas. We built up marriage halls over there. Building up the society itself around there was our mandate. Of course, Padur, Kelambakam, Tiruporur, Tayur, all of these places come under us, and then of course, so we have of course contributed, built buildings in the schools. My social work department staff are here, and many of our students have gone for NSS camps to clean those schools up. We have regular programs. We celebrated NSS Day. We had done a lake restoration project, which recently we did a cleaning all around that lake. So these are just a few of the programs that we do on a regular basis, just so that we have a better understanding of what the society around us needs. Because as they grow, we also grow, and it is also giving back to community, which is basically our CSR goals.
Absolutely. So I think you're doing your bit to contribute to the sustainability of the city. So moving on, Anderson, so an avid banker, comes from a wealth of experience in the wealth management space, private equity, venture capital, M&A, so on and so forth. So while we have discussed various areas or verticals of sustainability, we've spoken transportation, we've spoken inclusive cities, greenhouse energy, education, healthcare. The fundamental need to put all these large, massive projects in place is finance. And I think that is our core subject today of discussion, financing a sustainable urban future. So getting to it, it's taken some while for us to get here, Anderson, but I'm sure you have a lot of inputs to give us here. So if you could highlight, large projects like for example, the Chennai Metro Rail Corporation, it runs into thousands of crores. Your larger projects, there's a third master plan that Sir is working on, and I'm sure these are projects that are massive in nature and they require huge funding. So if you could throw some light on how financing these large projects work through private financiers, private players, private equity players, and how does the exchequer look at it? How does the exchequer look at this whole thing, and how does this financing work?
Good afternoon. Thank you, Ajmal, for asking this question, and thank you very much for inviting me. Banks, of course, plays a vital role on these sort of infrastructure funding and infrastructure financing. So apart from mediating and project structuring through a triple P, which is a public-private partnership, okay, where we are part of it. Apart from that, we're also being part of the project financing, okay, advisory to those sponsors and the investors, do the due diligence. So the banks plays a vital role in this particular infrastructure financing and sustainability, okay. Adding to some of the points, what Mr. Anshul has been mentioning, like an affordable housing, the banks are also supporting the affordable housing categories, which is really improving our, I mean, the tier 2, tier 3 cities where people would love to get into it, so that the congestion on the center cities are getting distributed among the others. Additionally, our central bank is also emphasizing about the green investments, as Dr. Rajiv was mentioning. So we are very proud that India already has come out with the sovereign green bonds, okay, in Jan 2023. I mean, the first sovereign green bond has been already, this is one of the funding opportunities which can be there, and now the central bank is unveiling almost 16,000 crores to 20,000 crores, I mean, approximately. In the next year, next financial year, is going to be another green bond. These are all the financing opportunities. Apart from these financing opportunity from the central bank, okay, we also have the World Bank, IMF, AIIB, and the Asian Development Bank, which is predominantly supporting many of the projects, not only your CMRL, there are multiple other projects that have also been supported by them. The KfW of the German-owned AIIB has also been supporting for the CMRL. So multiple projects. This is one of the way of financing. So financing is not a problem at all as of now, because there are a lot of...
Yeah, that's nice to hear, okay.
See, there are a lot of infrastructure funds have come. So the green bonds itself will be really helpful. I mean, 16,000 crores is not a small amount. I mean, if that is going to be there on the next financial year, I mean, it's really good.
Right. So another question, which is again a very fundamental question that I wanted to put across, is we've discussed large projects. I'll again come back to Anshul sir to touch upon that. But going again, when you said housing finance, you know, the basic housing finance that you're talking about, we look at banks funding or are financing housing home buyers in a larger context, in a salaried segment. Whereas the same is not or in Tier 1, Tier 2 cities and major cities. But when it goes down to urban cities, the situation reverses. And I don't know why the context has looked completely different there. Where, you know, where a home buyer in an urban city is not looked at in the same scale of how a home buyer is to be looked at in a larger city. So this brings to my mind the policy that the Reserve Bank of India used to have, as to you bank 5 unbanked locations and I give you 1 banking license in a metro city. So don't you think some stringent policy like this should come in? Because unless you put that in place, I know why. I know the answer. I know why banks are not wanting to fund, urban population. I mean, your default rate is going to go high, and you know your ALCO book mismatches. I mean, we can keep talking about it. I know it.
Absolutely.
But the point is, unless you put an end to this somewhere, you know, and or if again, like what we are saying, it has to be thrusted down. Then Reserve Bank of India needs to come down hard and say, 5 unbanked locations, I'll give you 1 metro location license. So something like that. So you fund 5 urban clientele, and then we allow you to fund, and there's a check and balance on the number of clients you acquire in the bank as well. So.
No, I differ at that particular point. I mean, see, today the priority sector lending, so the affordable housing also falls under the priority sector lending, so that is eventually happening in every tier 2,
Despite. Despite having a priority sector lending, we are talking about this.
See, today not only banks, I mean the NBFCs also stepped in, especially under the affordable housing categories. I think many of the HFCs, they have been really successful in the Tier 2, Tier 3 cities. I mean, there are multiple organizations which have been working around. I think it is slowly evolving, according to me. I mean, it is some more time, that's it. I mean, people are not differentiating a Tier 1 city employee to a Tier 2 city employee, because a Tier 2 city employee is also going to earn the same amount.
But is that the way it's looked at?
It's all about how his repaying capacity is going to be there.
There you go. Okay. Right, I got the answer. I know. I mean, this was a good forum to discuss this, while I know the issue is much larger and macro in nature, which needs to be addressed. Yeah. Thanks for that.
Thank you.
Thing. So, to you, Rajiv, from an economic sense, I mean, I think he mentioned more from a financial, funding perspective of these projects. From an economic front, how do you look at such large infrastructure projects coming in, international collaborations, be it International Monetary Fund or the World Bank or ADB? How do you look at this entire collaboration from an Indian context, from a project, let's even take a project like CMR?
So, as you already answered the question as internationalization. So when there is bankers, I think they need larger projects that comes to the country, because that can bring a lot more economy, that can bring a lot more employment as well.
Bankers?
Sorry?
You said bankers?
Yeah.
Okay.
So what I meant here is, like, for bankers, they need also foreign investors to join, so they can lend more. So that's the idea. So they need to lend even foreign projects. Where would it's not that if you have an FDI of 15 million poured into a particular country, it's going to enhance with that. They need additional projects. So I think a lot of economy works on international investments, where even the bankers do fund. I think the financial bank can guide you more on that.
Right. So I'll move on to you, Anshul sir, once again. You have in the past been PS to the Minister of State, MOS, Ministry of Finance. So I would like to touch upon the NUPF once again, the National Urban Policy Framework, which has been set up by the center. So the NUPF, formulated in 2018, recognized that the urban development is a state subject. And states have been encouraged to develop their own policies and plans based on their framework. Now, NUPF emphasizes on areas like transportation, mobility, ITES, intermodal operations, gender equality, easing of traffic congestion, so on and so forth. But a more customized and a decentralized strategy has also been supported by the center through national initiatives like Amrut. That's your Atal Mission for Regeneration and Urban Transformation. Swachh Bharat Mission. So my question here is, with a government, a three-tier government hierarchy that you have, the state, center, and the local, and implementation level is at the local government level. How easy or difficult it is? I'm sure Mayor Ma'am is appreciating this question, because I know the pain and difficulty when it actually comes down the train, at the last, at the end, at the tier, it becomes very difficult. And most of these larger projects, like your World Bank projects, have the government appoints an agency. Like, for example, we have, I think, for the water conservation, we have something here in Chennai. It's a World Bank assisted project. And down the line, by the time it gets implemented to the local level, things kind of fizzle out.
So what happens exactly is, I think money is available, funds availability is not a problem. Although I would say that depends on the rate of interest, rate of returns which they want. In fact, the other day, I forgot the organization, but they came and they offered us funding under green financing. The returns they want is around 14% to 15%.
Absolutely.
Which is not going to work. Which is not going to work. Sorry to say that, but of course we have those challenges there. But coming to your question, how even the decentralized structure is not able to deliver in the urban planning scenario. I think the challenge is about the capacity. capacity to, utilize your funds, capacity to give a quality output of, in terms of whatever projects you are taking up at the local level. Most of these your programs or projects are driven by civil engineers. Now, urbanization is a very specialized, urban planning is a kind of specialized area which requires a lot of futuristic thinking, planning. Before that, you need assessment. And it is not just a civil engineering solution, right? It requires planners, it requires urban designers, it requires economists. Urban economists, for example, we don't have this category of people don't exist in sufficient numbers in our country, I guess. So those kind of capacities are not there at local level. Unfortunately, it is not even at the state level. So that is also a challenge. So what happens, most of the programs which are driven from the central government, they come through state government. State government still holds a lot of power on all these programs. So you get some output at least. If you leave it to the local body, it is going to be very, very difficult because they have no capacity. They cannot do accounting. They cannot do, they cannot keep a check on the quality of work and all that. At the state level also, this is missing. Now, over the last few years only, we have started discussing that, okay, we need, for example, we need urban planners. In CMDA, when I joined, we had a major problem with the number of urban planners. We had very few numbers. They had not recruited for 14 years. So last year we recruited 30 urban planners, and most of them have done their masters in urban planning from SAP, Anna University, some from Vijayawada and all that. And they're all good quality, young, new age, young, at the cutting edge kind of planners who have come in CMDA and they're contributing like anything. So I'm very happy with that. And of course, we train them properly. We send them to SEPT and Delhi and all that. So they got training, etc. So the capacity is a major issue, which is going to be, unless you address that problem, you will not have these things percolating to the grassroots level. That's a limited answer to your question.
No, absolutely. I think that is, as I said, the transformation that I'm seeing in the government today, at least from a Tamil Nadu perspective, across ministries, be it education, where they have been able to, collaborate with foreign universities, be it a dairy brand like Arvind, where they are transforming their product brand, repackaging, coming up with new models, trying to do think completely differently. And there's so much of change. For example, we have the gym coming up, the Global Investor Meet coming up on the 10th of January 2024, and you would not believe that they have roped in BCG, Boston Consulting Group is on board to drive gym. Yeah, so the Boston Consulting Group has come on board to drive GIM. So I think there's a lot of change dramatically is happening, and now sir is mentioning that they have been recruiting young urban planners, qualified urban planners, and this is a change that we're seeing in across, be it industries, be it fisheries, be it, it's there everywhere. So I think that's a dramatic change, and we look forward to this change being impactful in the coming years. Lastly, sir, as I said, one last question, though you have limited information that you can give out at this point in time. If you can throw some light on, within four walls, throw some light on the third master plan of the city of Chennai.
So I thought you'll ask about FSI numbers. So of course, third master plan, I can tell you lots is happening. Second master plan for Chennai was prepared in 2007, promulgated in 8, I think, and the time period is 2026. So 26 to 46, we will have a new master plan, third master plan for Chennai. And from the very beginning, we decided that it has to be a very comprehensive, holistic master plan. Master plans earlier have been mostly land use plans with a little or inadequate input about the, various other aspects such as economic, social, environmental, all those aspects were not completely factored in the master plan preparation. The third master plan, we started with the vision of Chennai. So I'm sure some of you would have participated in the online survey about the vision of Chennai. If you have not, then it's unfortunate for me because we tried to reach to many people. Anyway, we reached to 40,000 people using the survey, and we got enormous response in those survey responses, and we are now working on that to come out with a vision for Chennai city. For me, Chennai, I would like to see 2047 Chennai as one of the leading a vibrant global coastal city in the world.
Wow.
On par with any other city in the world. Barcelona maybe will beat behind Barcelona also. Maybe we'll go ahead of that. I mean, that's a dream. So that's a
India is expected to be the second largest global economy by the time you're saying in 2045, but I'm sure it's a dream for us to look at Chennai getting there as well.
Chennai is going to contribute tremendously in that growth story, I guess. Having said that, let's do reality check, right? So the point is that it's a very technical kind of document which needs inputs from various other sectoral and technical studies. So first time, apart from the vision exercise which we took, we have taken up around 26 different studies. For example, housing demand and supply. For example, spatial distribution of population and income. For example, comprehensive mobility plan that is being done by Kumta. We are also reviewing our building approval and planning approval rules. We are reviewing the entire act. We are coming out with various new concepts such as land pooling, such as TOD, transit-oriented development, concepts such as TDR, transferable development rights. All these may sound very technical to you, but they're very simple to explain. I cannot do it here because it's a paucity of time. But these are the things which are going to go as input in the third master plan. Besides that, we are also doing social facilities studies. For example, schools and hospitals, how many we require in which place. We do an assessment of existing facilities and then we come out with a recommendation. Besides all this, we are also doing a detailed economic plan, strategic plan for the city. So what happens, economy of any urban agglomeration or any city in the country has been mostly driven by the industrial policy. This industry is not the only thing which goes into economy of the city. For understanding the economy of the city, as we call it, engines of growth, we have to understand that the overall city's productivity is what economy is all about. And the productivity can be increased or enhanced only when we develop a compact city. A compact city means you should be able to go to your workplace without any hassles in the shortest time possible. And that's what translates into productivity. So this is what we are keeping in mind while preparing the third master plan. And there is a statutory requirement. We are looking at December 25 to complete our master plan and promulgate it. And within that, there will be many new things which we have never seen and never implemented. For example, we are going to do transit-oriented development along the metro corridors, along the MRTS corridor, along 5 arterial roads, and along the outer ring road. So all of this. Besides this, another approach which we are following this time is new town area development approach. So there's something called new town area, which we have identified 6 places, which includes Minchur, Tiruvallur, Tirumalisai, Kanchipuram, Chengalpet, and Mamalapuram. So some of these are still already existing towns, right? So you say, what is new town here? Now, the concept which we are adopting is that instead of creating new satellite towns, which you have to go and purchase land and all, that's very, very cumbersome process and it takes years together. We're saying that we capitalize the existing towns, which are basically growth centers. And we work on that, and wherever possible, you have free land available. We plan it as a new city next to that, and we basically capitalize on the existing activities which are going on. So we're calling it growth center approach. So besides the TOD, we have a growth center approach. That's how we are looking at compacting the city while inside at the same time also having new towns on the periphery so that the sprawl gets arrested. Otherwise, the city will slowly go towards Chengalpet, Kanchipuram and all that, and you will have major issues you will not be able to deal with. So this is what we're looking at. Coming to the next and most important point is about sustainability. So first time we are doing 3 important studies to ensure that a master plan is environmentally compatible and it is it is a sustainable plan. So we are working on blue-green infrastructure study. We are working on climate action plan. Chennai city already has it. GCC already has. We are working with CMA, Chennai Metropolitan area. And then we have something called heat island effect. Because of urbanization, you have heat island effect. That's a technical thing, but basically this is also kind of which goes into the sustainable kind of framework of the master plan. So this we are doing first time. Besides this, we are doing major projects. We have started major projects. One of the project is shoreline development rejuvenation project, which is like 54 kilometers from Ennur Creek to Kovalam Beach. And we are preparing a detailed master plan. All of this is being supported technically by World Bank, most of it.
Is this the one in collaboration with the Ministry of Tourism where they're coming up with a Kovalong project?
That's a separate one. That's a separate one. Okay. We are preparing a detailed Chennai Shoreline Development Plans, CSDP, which includes in order to Kovalam 54 kilometers of a stretch, and we are coming out with various projects there, including 20 beaches. So you will not have only Basin Nagar and Marina, you will have 18 more beaches like that. We have started with Akkarai now. Akkarai DPR is already ready, we'll be having that. We are developing Kasimed, we are developing Thiruvattur, all these beaches are being developed. Besides that, we have taken 10 lakes for rejuvenation. That's a 100 crore project. And we went for a design competition at a national level, and we selected the vendors, the consultants to develop detailed reports for that. Then we have just issued orders to them. So all of this is happening simultaneously, and I'm sure we will see a third master plan, which will be holistic and comprehensive, and it will definitely take Chennai to great heights. And I request all of you to participate. The idea was to ensure that people also participate in preparation of master plans. So we did this online survey, we did a stakeholder meeting. Now we are doing sector-wise meeting. So we are calling all the departments and we are engaging them in a discussion so that they tell us what their vision is. Most of the departments will not have 20-year vision, right? They'll have maximum 5-year vision because the political window is small, so they don't go beyond that. We are saying that you please do your 20-year vision and tell us what you want from us. And we will tell you, we'll help you to do that vision exercise. And then it will be a much more, concrete master plan instead of just saying something, right? So that exercise is going on. Tomorrow, day after tomorrow, we have another sectoral meeting. So a lot of things are going on there. I'm sure, I can assure you that we'll have a very good master plan for Chennai.
I'm sure, sir. Under your leadership, and thanks for sharing such informative, resourceful information to us, which I'm not sure how much people here would have known. And so Chennai, we prepared for 17 new beaches, and so we can call ourselves the new Goa soon. And we have casinos and the Casanovas can the tourism. Sorry. So yeah.
I won't say anything on that. It's about market, which anyway will unfold, but we are developing these spaces as public spaces. In Chennai...
Okay, I'll stop with surfing then.
Let me finish that. If we think about where to go in Chennai, people think about Marina Beach. Only one place, which is the open public space. We'll be developing more of these spaces so that people can enjoy public space. They have all the right to have public spaces, right? And that many parks, what GCC is doing, many parks, many other things which we are doing. So idea is to open up these areas and ensure that we create vibrant spaces. For example, Island Ground. Island Ground is going to be developed in 21 acres. We are going to develop that also, and maybe you'll have something coming up there interesting.
I'm actually missing RK sir very badly here. It would have been an ideal conversation to have had along with him, but he's just coming post-lunch, so yeah. So I think we're way beyond schedule. I'm sorry. I think we have run quite over schedule. And thank you, Anshul sir, Rajiv, Susan, and Anderson for your valuable inputs and a wonderful discussion. I think we will quickly open up this for a 5-minute Q&A, and if you can keep it quick and fast, we'd appreciate that. Yeah, before I get that, sir, one more thing, since we have the major stakeholder from the government here, Anshul sir, just to talk a little about what Sustainability Council here does. Gokul and Dakshina, if you're around, if you could please come in. So basically, Dakshina is a standing advocate to the UN and works very, very closely on the SDGs from an Indian perspective. So it would be great opportunity for us to work closely with the government from Sustainability Development Council, because there's a lot of straight impact goals that he is putting on field, and he has the team to put things right there as a collaborative effort. So if there's anything that they can collaborate with you, with the government, and you know, achieve whatever small percentage of the expected SDGs, they'll be more than glad. Dakshina is here, Gokul is also here. So Gokul, Dakshina, yep. So you'd like to say something here? Yeah.
Yeah, it's fine. Since we have the major stakeholders here, so there is an input from our end. So how a civil society can be included in the policy making, even though we have, but still the selection process, it's not transparent. So I'm not giving any like negative comments, but still it's happening everywhere. So why don't we have an 100% transparent on engaging civil societies and advocates, like particularly SDG advocates, when government plans and policy, because we believe in policy to action. So as I said, we need to move from policy to action, and I just don't want to speak about the statistics. In next program, maybe to 2024, if UN allows, then we can have the same summit here in the same venue. I wanted to see the transformation. So I believe that, so whole government of this planet is working on implementing SDGs, but still, why civil societies and why SDG advocates are not transparently involved in this? So my suggestion, my request to the panel, so how we can get involved? Is there any possibilities of handling this?
Before I hand it over to Anshul sir, I think sir was just mentioning that even in his third master plan, when they had opened it up very openly for public participation and views, not only to the public but also to the stakeholders within the government, various other departments who are involved directly to implement that particular project is involved, and their inputs are taken. So I'm sure there is enough transparency there, Dakshina, and I'll leave it to him to add on to that note.
The best way to do is that you please come and meet me. I'm open to that. You have never came and met me. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that we are open to any suggestion. It may be like it or not. Yeah. We are open to any kind of suggestions. Of course, we'll apply our mind to incorporate or not incorporate. It may be rejected. We'll tell why it is being not incorporated. The point here is that we have opened it like anything. We have never been so open. CMDA was never been so open. It was an opaque organization, I would say. And we have hundreds of planners, interns. We have opened it up for interns. We are taking 60
I recently
interns.
saw an advertisement for some interns from CMDA.
We are taking 60 interns every year. And we are paying them good stipend also. We're paying them 8,000, 10,000, 12,000 rupees depending on their education. And many people have been approaching me on LinkedIn and all that. We definitely engage. My team is here. I think Gayatri must be here. You can get in touch.
Gayatri's around. So
she's here. So get in touch with them. You can come in and we can engage you very, very formally also. We have MOU with the Nature Conservancy. We have MOU with NIUA. We have MOU with WRI. We have MOU with Cornell, Princeton, We are open to all kind of ideas. Please do come in. And we are working very closely with SAP, School of Architecture and Planning. We are supporting entire B-Plan course for SAP. We have given them around 18 crores DTCP and CMDA based on government order. And the entire B-Plan course, Bachelor Planning course is running now. It's the second semester is on. We are doing that also. So we are open to that, and I believe that there has to be a collaboration between government and academics and civil society to come out with solutions which are acceptable to all, which are having factored all the ideas, all the views of various sections, and we believe that's what real inclusivity is.
Wonderful, wonderful. I think that answers your question, Dakshina. Inclusivity is the way forward, and I'm sure Sir is always there to take that ahead. So quickly, 5 minutes Q&A. If there's any questions from the audience, we can take it and close the session.
Good afternoon. This is Gurpreet here. I run a catering unit, and this was a last-minute decision to come here, but I'm so glad I did. It was wonderful. Actually, you just took me on a beautiful virtual journey of what we call, what we are looking at Singara, Chennai. It was so beautiful to hear what your third master plan is for Chennai. Thank you for taking me through. For a moment, I was lost. I was looking at all the beautiful roads, those beautiful beaches, and not only that, it contributes largely to the development of Chennai. And as you said, it will be one day much more beautiful than Barcelona as such. So great work going here. But my question is, as a common man, how do we contribute to this development? So any link where we can go, anywhere we can become as volunteers, however small our contribution is, how can we go ahead? That is my only question.
Ma'am, this content was still under censor, and it's going to be expensive.
See, each of us can contribute in our own way. We don't need to do it financially. We can do. There are so many other mediums by which we can do it.
I got your point completely.
Thank
and
you.
I think the most important contribution is a constructive idea which you can give. Apart from anything else, I mean, money, etc., anybody can give. But if you want to contribute, give the most constructive idea which you have in your mind. We have a link which I am not sure whether, Gayatri, is it closed or is it open? It's closed. So what we'll do, that was for the vision exercise for third master plan. But after we prepare the draft master plan, which will be probably another 7 or 8 months down the line, we will open the draft master plan for reviews and views from the public. Then you can come in and give your views. In any case, you can reach out to me on LinkedIn or reach out to CMDA through an email. There is CMDA website also. There are hundreds of things through which you can reach out. You can reach out through WhatsApp, you can reach out through email, or call up and all that. And you give your ideas if you want to. There's absolutely no ban on that. I will ensure that we consider that and accommodate as much as we can. Thank you for showing this interest. Thank you.
My name is Darshana, and I'm into the education sector. I deal a lot with the youth. And my own kids are young.
Ma'am, who's this question for?
For sir.
Okay.
Yeah, my question is also just an extension of what Ma'am Gurpreet already told. But my question is specific to how we can involve youth in this entire exercise. Could there be, because he mentioned scrolling through LinkedIn and other things, which a lot of youth might not be directly be able to do at this stage. Like my own kid is in 12th standard and 8th standard. How do you think I can get them involved in such an initiative so that they can be aware of the environment and what is happening around?
So unfortunately, master plan is little technical in nature, so it has to be a technical advice. But despite that, I would say that in fact the students have participated in this survey which we undertook. Out of 40,000, I think 6,000 to 7,000 were conducted in schools, and school students participated, and they gave their ideas, their views, their ideas, their vision about their city. So they have participated. Of course, we cannot reach out to each and every citizen. And in fact, through online, we have reached to around 15 lakh people. But responses were less because we had a questionnaire where they had to answer. So of course, people don't, they tend to lose interest if there's a questionnaire. But people have understood, and I'm sure that we'll find some way to engage students in basically using them as communication, as a source of communication to communicate to the people what we are doing for the third master plan. Yeah. So we will engage students and youth to communicate, to spread this awareness about master plan and what city is doing for the city.
I think the batteries are dying. If you could just change the mics, please.
Yeah. So that is one way of handling it. Also, I mean, master plan is, as I said, it's a technical thing. But for the city, a lot of things can be done. And I think the local body like GCC, and Commissioner is coming, I think, in the second half. So GCC can engage them on a more regular basis in awareness creation programs. For example, traffic regulations, for example, right? Traffic regulation, we need to use students. First of all, they should learn what traffic regulations are, right? And then they should become ambassadors of, this to disseminate knowledge and information to other people, to other sections of society, why we should follow traffic rules. This is just one example. There are many, many such examples. For example, littering on the road. For example, source segregation. Solid waste management is a big problem for all of us. Most of you must be living in apartments, right? Why can't you organize your kids with the help of GCC or any organization which is engaged in solid waste management to go house to house and teach how to do source segregation? Now, we all heard about source segregation. How many of you are able to do? Even if you are able to do, how effectively you do? No, it's very difficult to, because the nature of garbage, the waste in our households is such that it's very difficult to segregate dry waste and wet waste. It's completely mixed. Summer wood and all gets mixed. So that is a problem in terms of understanding the nuance of source segregation. I tried in Coimbatore. I was in Coimbatore. I was commissioner there for 2.5 years, long back. We tried hard, but it was very difficult to convince people why you should do source segregation, how harmful it is if you are not source segregating, and how difficult it is for us to manage the entire waste. We were managing some 1,000 kind of tons of waste every day, and all of it was going in the dump yard. Despite our hard, we're making efforts to segregate and process and all that, but it was very, very difficult and very costly. So if we can do source segregation, definitely it is going to help. And there are small initiatives, interventions at the local level, at the apartment level, the household level, which can help. So we need to prepare our kids for that also. So maybe you can find some way to do that. I can just tell you at this point of time this much. Thank you.
I just want to know, overall we had a very wonderful session, this kind of a roundtable conference here. It's a panel discussion. But I have written down most of the things that I need to be addressed in my own place. But I just want to know, now that we have conducted this program nationally. This is it is written Urban October, 31st is the last day of October. What will be the outcome of this program? Because we have, one thing which struck me as the most important is, in the local self-governments, you have only civil engineers. You don't have electrical engineers, you don't have urban planners, you don't have finance officers. So those who have come from the lowest, that is from the LD clerk level, they are handling these crores of rupees of budget of the corporation. So why not we have, as a result, as an outcome of this seminar, why don't we give the suggestions to the union government as well as to the state governments to rethink of their staff pattern or their departments. We do construct a bathroom, a toilet, but because we don't have an electrical engineering department, it will be electrified only after 1 year. It takes only 1 month to build it, but take 1 year to electrify it. So just think of the big buildings then. So that's a problem that we face in Kozhikode, or rather in Kerala generally. So like that, as you said, we should have, especially this urbanization is becoming, it's quite of unexpected quantum jump it has. So then we have to think of restructuring the departments of the cities, city policymakers and city administrators. So that could be one of the outcomes of this seminar, which we can send to the ministry, so for all states as well as the union ministry.
Just a quick answer to that question is that, in fact, Niti Aayog has come out with a report about the requirement of urban planners per lakh population or something like that. I think if I'm not wrong, that they did 3 scenarios, and one of them was most idealistic was like 30,000 people per planner, but that is not possible. So we thought about say 80,000 people, if I'm not wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. Per one planner for 80,000 people. So in that direction, most of it has been disseminated to all the governments. I'm sure your Kerala government also would have got that. The challenge here is we don't have enough planners. We don't have trained planners as such who can be recruited. And every state has their own, regulations. For example, they have to know Tamil, for example, in Tamil Nadu. Maybe in Kerala, they need to know Malayalam. So only local people can be taken. And we have only few schools of planning who teach urban planning. That's why we did this B-Plan course in SAP Anna University. But what we did is, what did we do? We reviewed the service regulations of CMDA, which was not done since 1990 or something, 1989. We reviewed the entire thing, and we worked out the required qualification of the technical employees, mostly planners. So we have various categories, and we recruit at the 2 levels. One is called assistant planner, which should be an M-plan person, and below that is planning assistant grade 1, 2, 3, 4. That we converted into junior planners. We changed their qualification to B-plan. It was not there. It was civil engineer or architect or geographer or sociologist or something like that. So most of the civil engineers or architects would come in, and planners won't get a chance. So we converted that into a B-plan. So now we are ensuring that those who have done a B-plan get a chance to come as an urban planner in the government. Similarly, in private sector also, we require planners who come as consultants to government. And definitely we require, I have at least 15 to 20 consultants working at present, and most of them are having a team of planners who are helping us in doing studies and doing other projects, etc. So this is already happening. All we need to do is to disseminate this information and ensure that we have that capacity to fill these gaps and ensure that we have enough number of planners to plan our cities.
In fact, Susan just mentioned that they offer M-Plan and a B-Plan program. And Hindustan? Okay, lovely. Right. Okay, I think we're really running short of time. So quickly, one last question. Yeah.
I have one last question.
Who's that? Right.
Okay. Hi.
Here, please.
Okay.
Devika, yeah.
Hi. I'm Devaki. I run a diagnostic cum wellness company. So just a curious question, is there any scope for healthcare? Because we are talking about inclusiveness and the sustainable in the development module. So if there is a scope for healthcare, or also like to know on a holistic level, what will be the level of scopes on that?
So quickly I would reply to that. So as planners, we can look at healthcare as an economic activity. So health tourism, you must have heard about it, health-based tourism. Chennai is such a place where a lot of people come from outside for healthcare. So maybe we can identify the pockets or the areas where you have the concentration of hospitals or healthcare activities and plan in such a way that we maximize the potential of that area, right? That's a possibility. For example, I see that on Pondamalli High Road, a lot of hospitals are there, but it was never planned for healthcare activities. And you see a lot of ambulances going on here and there, and they're getting stuck in the traffic. Maybe we can plan something else there. I don't know if it has been done in anywhere else in the world or not, but we can actually plan for that. So that is on the planner's perspective. We can then, economically, we can incentivize the healthcare facilities to come up more in more specialization, more multi-specialty kind of hospitals, etc. in Chennai, so that it grows as an agglomeration, healthcare agglomeration. That's also possible from economics point of view. Maybe some of you understand. The third thing is that, which we do as planners, is so accessibility to healthcare services. So when we plan, as I said, the social facilities study, we are actually assessing where all we have all these healthcare and educational facilities and where are the gaps, right? And then find out whether we can allocate land or allocate spaces for these activities so that everybody gets access to healthcare. So that could be another way of looking at. So I think these three things we can look at in terms of healthcare facilities. And if you have some ideas, please tell us.
Right. So, yeah, please.
I'm Pranav Chaurya from Unicorn, and we are into disposable food packaging.
Oh, disposable food packaging, waste management. 10,000 rupees for the question. You're running out of time.
Just 5 minutes.
And if it's Anshul, sir, it's 50,000.
So, just one question, sir. As you were telling, we're going to have more of beaches and everything. And government is very firm about single-use plastic. But in ground reality, I see nothing as such happening in and around. So I want to know, how serious are we towards this, and how we as in sustainable packaging person can contribute towards this. And I want to take this upfront, having alternates like Bagas, PLA and other options. I would like to be a part of it and take this.
Very important question, and I was looking for such a guy to catch hold of and
thank you.
And say that you are the culprit. The point is, sorry, I'm just jokes aside. Packaging is a very what to say? It's a problem in our country. You know, in foreign countries, the packaging is done in such a way, for example, opening a bottle. For example, the packaging which you do, if you do in such a way that it nudges the user to reuse it or recycle it, it will be fantastic. But what happens, we do packaging in such a way that we have to use and throw. For example, you take the morning, you take milk packet, right? So milk packet, you take it, you cut it into 2 pieces, take the milk and throw it. One small piece and one big piece, right? It goes away somewhere in the food cycle and it spoils the whole thing. In US, you get the gallons, you don't get the packets, plastic packets. So these are the packaging related issues which has, of course, economics behind it. But if you want to reuse and recycle, you have to have packaging which are user friendly, which nudge the consumer to not throw it away, but to keep it aside for giving it back to the collection agent or whatever, or reuse it in some way or the other, right? So that is one important thing which has not been looked at so far. I think there's a huge potential to discuss on this issue, and unfortunately, the standards which are there in our country so far are not prescribing those kind of packaging, and we still have these single-use plastic, and all these issues are there, where we just open it and throw the plastic and use the stuff. So that needs to be definitely worked on. Discussion is required on that more. And if you have some ideas, please give us.
Yeah. Hope that answers your question. Yeah. That's it? You have another question? Yeah, please.
So good afternoon. I'm Dr. Ram Kumar, Medical Director of a medical college and a surgical gastroenterologist. So regarding healthcare, as is part of to be part of sustainable, we have to make healthcare affordable, but not on sitting on the government hospital. the government hospital already overcrowded. And we have to develop a public-private partnership, like similar to dialysis, where the government land can be given to a charitable organization and make them affordable and friendly at a lower cost, where the government insurance can be used. In spite of so much of CM Health insurance scheme, Prime Minister insurance scheme, there's a lot of gap. For our example, the cost of the healthcare has risen, and we get some 30,000, and most of the times, we are not able to fulfill with the current environment, where the cost plays a major role in a healthcare scenario, particularly in oncology, cardiac surgeries, and everything. And the second thing is that apart from this, my personal opinion that basically we lack civic sense. Without installing civic sense, investing so much of crores of money, as you said today, we saw an article in Hindu or Times, I'm not sure, the toilets are being not used, the toilets are not being made functional. So we have to have a civic sense. The students will have to be taught or empowered in the youth itself the way. See, I worked in abroad. We never jump queues. But here, we always jump queues, as if we are going to achieve something great. But actually, it's not so. We are only 5% ahead of others. So this is where I feel we have to train the youngsters, particularly student, college student, to make them aware about civic sense, and probably civic sense should be a part of the curriculum. See, when I studied in the school in 80s, civic sense and the civics is a part of the curriculum. Now we talk about maths and science. Maths and science, it's helpful, but it's not in the day-to-day life. So ideally, apart from this, there's a CMD or a corporation, the schools or the education department, we can have a civic syllabus or a civic curriculum, sensitization of the youth. See, in my age, if you ask me to sensitize, it will be, even though I am aware about it, it will be very difficult for me to mend my ways. Whereas if you taught them when they're toddlers or 5 years or 15 years, it will be easy to mend them, and they'll be the future prospective, empowered citizen who believes that sustainable is a way of life, and what we talk about will become a reality if the younger generation is inoculated with the civic sense. Thank you, Professor.
Sir, answering your Q sense question, I don't see anywhere here anybody following a Q sense, except, yeah, I totally agree with it, and except for in front of Tasmac bars, you see so much of Q sense applying, that too because of those barricades that have been put up, and the guy who comes there is very clear about his destination, and he doesn't mind waiting even for an hour to get what he wants. So that's the reason why the Q sense exists there, otherwise it really doesn't exist. Before I let Sir answer, just one thing thought in terms of your PPP that you're talking about in terms of healthcare. Today, I think the government doesn't want to be a provider, but want to be a payer in the first place. And that is the reason why they have come up with a, Kalinar Kapitittam, or, the CM's insurance scheme, what you call it. They don't want it. They want to collaborate with the private players and be a payer than a provider. So that, I think the opportunity is really large. I leave it to Sir to add on to that.
So I think this question is out of syllabus, so I don't want to dwell upon
There's a lot of out of syllabus.
Only thing I want to say is that the facilities provided by government are a must because they give you affordable health care, right? Private hospitals, whatever they try to, they cannot give affordable health care. It is very difficult. They do fill in the gap which is there because government hospitals, as you said, overcrowded. I would not say overcrowded because most of the doctors who are in the first half in the government hospital go to do their practice in the second half. There's nothing wrong in that. I'm not saying anything. That is what they're doing. So obviously government hospitals will not have those number of doctors, particularly in the primary and secondary healthcare. Tertiary, yes, they might be. But still we have lack of doctors, first of all. We need more doctors. That is one. The second thing is that we need to upgrade the government health facilities. There are huge facilities, but upgradation is not there. We need to infuse accountability to have better health care. And this is needed in spite of the private sector existing there. Regarding private sector partnership, that's a different question which I don't want to answer at this point of time. That your second thing about training our kids, our students for a better civic sense is well taken. That we all agree for that. So thank you.
Trust is the only solution from the government. Right, I think we are really overshot on time, and so over 1.5 hours session. I think a lot of brainstorming, a lot of intrigue questions being debated upon, and a lot of inputs, and more importantly, what a sport. Sir, thank you so much for giving so much clarity, especially on the master plan. Which I'm sure is still under wraps, and thank you so much for giving so much insights. Thank you, Rajiv, thank you, Susan, and thank you, Andy, for coming over. And I'm sure there's a lot of takeaway for us as the common man, and let's be a responsible common man and a responsible taxpayer, making not only Chennai but the country more sustainable, and giving that additional shoulder and strength to the government, to the stakeholders in our own bit in whatever little we can do. With that, thank you so much. It's been a great session, and wish you all the very best. Vanakkam, Vandanam, Shabe Khair. Thank you so much. Good day.
Well, that was indeed a very enriching session where we not only discussed about sustainable investments, but also understood the role of poverty, rise in population, education, nation's economy in its development, along with the role of the youth. Now, I would also like to call upon Dr. Rajkumar IAS, and Mr. V. Nandakumar IRS to come on stage and honor our panelists. May I request all our esteemed panelists to come back on stage, please? We would like to honor you. Ladies and gentlemen, please extend a great round of applause.
Welcome, Nandakumar sir. I think, Nandakumar sir, welcome. Vanakkam, vanakkam. You should have been a little earlier. We're talking about fining and taxing people, and I think you should come up with a new tax regime to do that for people spitting on the roads. So civic sense or something that we are saying, so please.
We would like to honor Mr. Anshul Mishra IAS, Member Secretary, Chennai Metropolitan. Dr. Susan Burgess, Vice President, Hindustan Group of Institutions, Director, Hindustan College of Arts and Science. Mr. Anderson, Managing Partner, IDFC First Bank. Mr. Rajiv, and our moderator, Dr. Ajmal Dastagir. Also, I'd like to make a note that all the recommendations from this Connect will be reported to UN Habitat, and those recommendations will be delivered to Government of India, UN Habitat. Well, now it's the time for